Hey guys, all right, so today we are going to do the story time about my waking up situation with my surgery. A lot of you guys requested that I do this story time, so I'm going to try to get through this without being emotional, but I can't promise you anything. I've had a lot of time to sit back and think about everything that's happened, and there are a few questions that I do want to address that a lot of people brought up in the comment section, so I'm going to discuss that as well, as it pertains to me suing and things like that. So yeah, anyway, if you don't know, maybe this is the first time you're seeing me, I had a plastic surgery and I had a Brazilian butt lift, and I love my results. Everything went great. The only thing that didn't go so great was me waking up during surgery. Oh boy. So basically, I wake up in the morning. Tiara's here. We hop in an Uber. We go to the doctor's office, and I'm getting prepared for my surgery. In this process, and this is pretty typical at a plastic surgery office, your nurses will come in and introduce themselves. Pretty much the whole team. They'll get you prepared to go in to be put under. So I talked to the nurses. I had a meeting with the doctor. I met with the anesthesiologist. The anesthesiologist actually spent the most time with me. He had several questions that he asked me pertaining to my health history, my background, my parents' background, my past medical history, my height, weight. We just pretty much went over everything. So he was very thorough, and everything was fine. They started my IV in the room before I actually got into the OR. After I got all prepped, I was ready to now go to the OR. I was escorted. I said bye to Tiara. I left her in the waiting room, and then I went into the OR. I got on the table, laid down. They made sure I was nice and comfortable, explained the situation, what they were about to do. They had my IV ready, and the anesthesiologist was there to administer the cocktail, which contains the paralytic and the other anesthesia drugs that cause you to go to sleep. So just before they started to count me down, or as they started to count me down, I felt the cold sensation in my veins. And yeah, it was like 10, 9, 8, and right at round 7, I literally don't remember anything. The next thing that I remember is the excruciating pain of the tool being used for the liposuction going in and out of my leg. Now, I started to feel the pain, I guess I'm assuming it's right when they started doing the lipo on my legs, because I distinctly remember them making the initial incisions. I felt the incision being made. That was the weirdest feeling. That honestly, oddly enough, did not hurt. And I think that's kind of the sensation sometimes you hear about people getting stabbed and they were like, I didn't know I was stabbed until I got up and saw all this blood. That part really, it didn't hurt at all. It was when the instrument was inserted into that incision and kept going back and forth. At this point, I'm still trying to figure out, okay, this is real. It has to be real because I feel it. Like, this was the most painful, this is the most painful experience I've ever felt in my life. And honestly, I have a relatively high pain tolerance. I really do. But this was like off the charts. I don't even know quite what to explain or to compare the pain like. Just think of it as this. So liposuction is kind of, it's a big deal. People think, oh, it's not that big a deal, but it really is, because every time they insert the instrument, that one time, that's known as a surgical wound. So with liposuction, they're constantly going in and out, in and out, in and out. They may do that like 500, 800 times. Well, that's 500 or 800 surgical wounds that are now being made. So I felt every last one of those. I felt when they made the incision on my knees. It was just excruciating. I am really trying not to like get emotional, but it was excruciating. I don't wish that kind of pain on anybody. It was really weird because I heard everything going on around me. I heard my anesthesiologist. I heard the doctor that was doing my liposuction. It was not my actual surgeon that was doing the lipo at that point. He was in surgery with another patient, from my understanding, and one of his other doctors were lipoing my legs, and then he came in and finished my back and stuff and did everything else and did the fat transfer. But I can tell you exactly where the other female doctor was standing. It was a female, and then I know exactly where my anesthesiologist was standing. A lot of people in the comments were saying, oh, you should sue, and they probably told you that it's not their fault, or I need to stop thinking that it's not their fault because it is their fault. Well, in any case, any medical case, there are so many elements that have to be determined before you can say whose fault something is. This surely was an accident. It was not intended. I don't even know if I can call it an accident. It was a freak phenomenon. I know for a fact that he took extreme cautions to make sure that he had gotten all the information from me that he needed. It's no way that he would have, just negligently not given me enough of the combination of the cocktail to keep me under. And this is my thing. If you give too much anesthesia, that's lights out permanently. Like, you will die. So my thing is, if I'm going to be on one end or the other, I'd rather be awake than not ever wake up again. And somebody was saying, well, they're supposed to be there monitoring you and this and that. He was right next to me. I know that he was closer to me. He was closer to my head because I heard his voice right there in my ear when they were talking. He was standing right next to me the entire time that I was awake. So it's not like he wasn't monitoring anything. I just don't know what happened. But it's a known fact that there is something called an awakening phenomenon, and 1 out of 1,000 people will experience that in surgery, and it just happens. It's a risk that you take. And for the people saying that, oh, you can get millions and you should sue the crap out of them, it doesn't work that easy. First of all, you have to study legislation. There is a cap on malpractice, and it's somewhere around $250,000. That's kind of universal across the entire country. Now, there are other factors that come into play that might change that, like if a doctor was intentionally being negligent, or they were like, trying to kill you or do something crazy. But for something that's just regular malpractice or an accident, you're not going to get much more than $250,000, and not to mention attorney's fees and things like that. So now you're looking at take home of maybe $100,000. I don't know. It's not worth it for me. I'm thankful to be alive. I'm grateful for my doctor. I'm so grateful for my anesthesiologist. I know a couple anesthesiologists, one girl that I went to school with, that are completely unbiased and separate from this case. And, things like this happen. It doesn't mean that a doctor is not being careful or not doing his job. Sometimes things just happen. A lot of you guys were so supportive and so sweet and sent me, prayers and best wishes and all that stuff. And I really, really appreciate it. And very thankful for your love and support and your comments. I really appreciate it. But other people just, like, you wake up and you choose to be negative for no reason. Like, I didn't do anything to you. You don't have to listen to this story. You don't have to click on my video. I'm just sharing my story because I feel like people need to know, and we don't talk about it enough. So if that upsets you, then don't look at the video, is all I can say. I'm sorry that you're so hurt by me trying to be helpful to somebody else. My intent for sharing and doing the BBL experience, like the scary side, was so you'll know what happens. People are still going to choose to do elective surgery and plastic surgery, and you may not agree with it. That's totally fine. I'm not pushing plastic surgery on anyone, but the truth of the matter is people are still going to do it. So I want you guys to have as much information possible out there so you can make educated, wise decisions. And that's why I did this video. It wasn't to, put all my business out on the street. It's because, you know what? People aren't talking about what they're doing. They're saying, oh, I woke up like this. Or you have fitness models on Instagram talking about, oh, you can get this butt by doing these squats. And they fit under the knife. Yeah, there are a lot of them out there doing it, a lot more than you think. So I don't want to be that person. I want to be open and transparent with you and say, hey, look, I'm not perfect. I'm okay with myself. I like myself, but this is what I wanted to do. And for some reason, a lot of people can't understand that. So back to me not waking up, I think, was there a lesson learned? I don't know if it was a lesson learned. I think it was more of, no pun intended, an awakening moment. It just lets you know like what can happen. And I felt like maybe this did happen to me so that I can explain this to somebody like you. I survived it. It was super painful. But, for me personally, I have a relationship with Christ, with God, and I was able to call on him. And for me personally, he came to my rescue at that moment when I called on him. Whether you believe it or not, or whether that sits well with you or not, I'm just telling you my personal experience. So I was able to get through it. So now back to the table. When you are given anesthesia cocktail, like I mentioned, a paralytic is a part of that cocktail. And a paralytic is exactly what it sounds like. It paralyzes you. And that's really also for your own safety so that your body is not jumping on its own. Like your nerves sometimes can make you move or twitch even if you're not trying to. So it keeps you from moving so that for your own safety. And with that said, my arms were taped down, like they were straight out and taped down on boards, basically. I couldn't move. So I'm feeling all of this, and people asked, could I open my eyes or twitch my eyes? Well, I was laying face down, so they couldn't see my eyes even if I were able to open them or move them. And your eyes are taped down. Usually they are taped down during surgery. So that wasn't happening. I had read books in the past, like self-help books about the power of your mind and, willing things to yourself and stuff like that. And that's real. I mean, I've done that stuff before. And so I really tried to focus all of my energy and everything I had inside of me to just make one finger move. I knew, because the doctor, the anesthesiologist, was standing so close to me, I knew if I could just get my left finger to move, he would see it. I sat there and I don't know how, it seemed like an eternity. I was trying to get my fingers to move. Couldn't do it. That's when I prayed. And that's why I said, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer in God and Jesus. And I understand if you are not there or you don't believe in God. I'm not pushing an agenda on you, but I'm telling you my personal experience and how this happened for me. I literally, something said, girl, just pray. And I started praying, and I just said, God, I can't take this pain no more. It was so excruciating. And so I just can't do this anymore. You got to help me because I just feel like I'm dying. I'm going to die. And I said, please just move my fingers. And I kid you not, after me trying to move my fingers for God knows how long, nothing happened. After I prayed that, it was less than 30 seconds. It may have been somewhere around 15 seconds. Maybe not even 15. My two fingers started to move like this. Just like this. They were straight out and they kept moving like that. Immediately, the anesthesiologist saw my fingers move. And he said, oh God, I got to give her some more. And I felt, again, that cold sensation going into my IV. And within less than 15 seconds, I was back under again. And the next thing I remember was when I came to, and the first words out of my mouth was, Tiara, grab the camera. I do remember that. But I don't know where this is going, but if this tells you anything, the power of prayer, I don't know who you believe in or who you pray to, but the God that I pray to and the God that I serve, let me tell you, he is real. He is so real. This is not like the only time that I've ever cried out and called on God, that he's come to my rescue. But this is one that you guys have a situation you've asked me to talk about, and I'm going to tell you how real God is. He may not come when you want him to, but he is always on time. Always on time. And I know for a fact it was the power of God, because like I said, I tried to do it by myself and I couldn't. And the minute I called on him, he was there and came to my rescue and my aid. So, you know, if you don't know God or you don't know any God and you're interested and that's something that you want to know more about, you know, hit me up or whatever. But he is real. And that's my testimony. And people in the comments, I'm sure, are going to say whatever they want to say. But I still stand by my statements, by my facts, and what I'm telling you now. This is an experience that I will never forget. And if it can help somebody or save somebody else in the future, then it was well worth it. And I would definitely go through it all over again if it meant helping somebody else to avoid a situation like this. So I guess a good question would be, you know, would I ever do plastic surgery again? A lot of people ask me that, and I think I answered it in the Q&A. It's not that I'm against it. I know what could happen. I don't have anything on a list or anything that I want to get done. But, you know, if I had another baby again or something and I got tore up like I did the first time, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I wouldn't opt to have surgery. I just think it's pretty crappy for somebody to bash someone for doing what they want to do with their body, regardless of the consequences. It's a choice that they make. The only thing that I will tell you is to don't cut corners when it comes to your body. So if you think that, oh, you can save money by going out of the country or going to this doctor because they're cheap, well, there's a reason why those prices are cheap, and there's a reason why some of these other doctors are a lot more expensive. Just do your research, you know, pray about it. And I know people think that's conflicting and an oxymoron. Look, you can be in a strip club, literally, and God is going to be there with you if you're a believer and you're a Christian. He's not going to just leave you and wait outside the door for you. That's not the kind of God that I serve. And I'm just telling you from experience, from real life experience, you can be doing anything and God will be there with you. So don't listen to all the rhetoric from all these other judgy people, because you know what? They're living in a glass house. They need to sweep around their own front door and figure out what they got going in before they start talking about you and your faith and, you know, being a Christian. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But I just feel like, I guess the short answer would be, yeah, I would have plastic surgery again if it was to correct something that made me feel not so great about myself. Like when I first had my first son, I gained 88 pounds and I lost 90 after I had him. I love the people that say, oh, just go to the gym. Go to the gym. Well, guess what? I had to gain weight to get this surgery. So it's not like I was fat. I didn't have the fat. I had to gain the weight to actually have the surgery. And when I was pregnant with my son and had him, I lost all the weight plus 2 pounds, but I had skin like hanging everywhere. And I was like 22, 23 years old looking at my body. I wouldn't even walk in front of a mirror naked because I looked so horrible. And I feel like doctors are on this earth for a reason. I don't have to go through life looking like the way I looked. And I'm not going to allow anybody to shame me or anybody else for making decisions that I made. You know, that decision, whether it's pleasing to God or not, is between me and God. You're not in my relationship with God. So I don't really need the judgy comments. I really don't care. I hate to sound so like whatever, but I like I said, we're working on just being transparent and just being straightforward, and that's what this is. If you trying to be judgmental and tell me, oh, love yourself and do this, I do love myself a lot. Don't ever question that. Me choosing to do plastic surgery to do something that I want to do for myself has nothing to do with me not loving me. there are people that do have psychological issues and they're addicted to having plastic surgery and things like that. That's a whole nother issue. But just because I want to do something to make my body more appealing to myself has nothing to do with the way I love myself or not. It just doesn't. So anyway, gosh, this is taking a new turn. Guess I had some pent up aggression. Sorry. No. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I need to be the champion for the girls who I feel like sometimes, like, the people that want to be judgy, y'all are bullying. Essentially you're bullying other people who don't think like you, and that's not okay. So I guess that's why I took a turn and went this direction with the story time. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened. When I woke up, and this is the other thing, the doctor nor the anesthesiologist, I never really had a detailed conversation with them about me waking up. So it's not like they tried to convince me or anything or tell me that it didn't happen. That's not the case at all. They haven't denied anything. They weren't trying to take responsibility for anything. So people are like, you're just taking their word for it. Well, no, actually they're taking my word for it because I'm the one that told them. And they know that I for sure was awake because I told them that there was a woman doctor doing my legs, the liposuction. So anyway, everything's not always about trying to sue somebody and get a payday. I know where my blessings come from. And that's not a battle that I choose to fight because I honestly believe that it was one of those phenomenon moments. And I'm sorry if you think I should feel differently, but in life you choose your battles, and this is not one that I choose. I'm just thankful to be alive. I'm thankful, I'm a mom at the end of the day, and I'm thankful that I'm still here for my kids. He could have given me too much of the anesthetic, and then I would have died, and you'd be reading a newspaper headline about me. Maybe a newspaper headline. Probably not, because it would have been an accident. So I choose what happened versus that, if that makes sense. Anyway, I really don't want this to drag on too long, but I just thought you guys deserve to hear exactly what happened and how I feel about it, since I offered you that information. Again, thank you to everyone who's been so supportive. I really appreciate you guys. I read pretty much I read all the comments. It's hard to respond to every last one of them. I'm usually really good about responding to almost like every comment, even if it's just to say thank you. But this particular video, or this series of videos, kind of sparked a whole new thing, and a lot of the comments I just really didn't feel like dealing with, and I didn't want to respond to the negative comments without responding to the ones that were positive, the ones that actually mean something to me. The negative ones, it was more just like shutting down things because they weren't making sense. But and I also didn't want other women in the comment section or watching the video to feel discouraged by the negativity that was being brought into the comments. So yeah, that's it. Again, thanks for just being here. It means a lot. And that's it. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to House of Hot, I hope that you do. If you do, you'd be notified by email notifications every time we upload a brand new video. So you'll be notified when we put stuff up. Love to have you hang out with us, and I look forward to talking with you guys soon.
I'm a dork.